Again, I got a lot of comments on that last video about you gotta have a fuse, you gotta have a fuse. And with that, we are done with another upgrade install. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day as always. In today's video, we're going to do a quick update on our Big 3 install. If you caught one of my last videos, we did the Big 3 audio upgrade on my 2017 Ram as we're getting ready to do our subwoofer install. So we've got a bunch of parts on the bench over here I'm about to show you. Everything's going great with the Big 3 update or install that I did a little while ago, but I read a lot of your comments, did some more research and everything, and we're going to do a few little small tweaks to it, and we're going to add an inline fuse for that power wire going to the battery, and we're going to update the power distribution block on the battery itself. So let me show you what I got on the table over here. So we've got our original Big 3 kit that we got from Skar Audio, and I'll leave that link to the video down below that we did that install. Everything turned out perfectly. Won't go into a lot of detail. I'll just leave that below if you want to check it out. But you guys suggested a few different parts and things in there. I appreciate the comments and the tips and tricks and everything. So one of you suggested some KnuKonceptz. Check into KnuKonceptz. So I looked them up, and I got their power distribution block here for our positive battery terminal, and it allows you to put a 0 gauge, 1 gauge, 4 gauge, all kinds of different adapters to it. We even got a power post or a positive post to screw into the side, and I'll show you on the truck in a second, so we can move our existing fused wires over to the side and have room for all of our audio wires as well. Keep everything super nice and clean. So we've got that. Thanks for that tip. And a lot of people were asking about a fuse on that power wire from the alternator. So I've read a ton of stuff about it. A lot of people don't add it. A lot of people do. It didn't say a word about it in the install instructions for the kit itself. But, you know, always better safe than sorry. And I really subscribe to that rule of thumb. And so I picked up a KnuKonceptz fuse block for that wire as well. So what we're going to do, and I got a 300 amp fuse. So they say to kind of rate it by the amount of wire and the current that that wire can handle. So since we have this 1.0 0 gauge wire that's going into that battery and the alternator, I've rated that fuse accordingly. So we're going to swap that in. We're going to go get this installed. And I did a few extra upgrades as well while I was at it. So in this kit, for my case anyway, I had plenty of spare negative or whatever wire you want to call this, not the positive. So I ran one to the frame like the kit said. I ran one from the battery to a ground, and I had enough left over that I ran an additional one from the alternator to the negative on the battery also. So I'll show you that one. So again, we might have a little bit of an overkill here. The fuse definitely will be a much needed safety addition. I do agree. So the idea there is obviously if you get in a wreck or something, the power to your engine and everything is more than likely going to cut out. So there won't be any power coming from the alternator. So no big deal there. But if you don't have a fuse on that line, you've got this big, huge wire that could be feeding positive power from the battery if you don't have it fused. On a lot of newer cars, like my truck, for instance, they already have little fuses on a lot of those power wires coming off just for that case. But now we've got this huge wire sitting there that's not fused that could feed power back through, short out on something, cause a fire, something like that. So you want to be protected at all costs if possible, so might as well add this fuse back in. So that's what we're up to today. Show you some of the other upgrades and things that we did so far. And please subscribe if you want to follow along with this process. I'm gonna create a playlist of the audio upgrades for the Ram, so you can follow along start to finish. We got a lot of goodies on the table and the bench and everything. We finally have everything in to complete the install of the subs, custom sub enclosure and everything in the back. So give it a thumbs up if you want to. Drop any more comments down below if you want to. I try to answer everybody's comments. And subscribe to the channel. We do stuff like this and everything else under the sun here, so you might find something else you want to follow along with. Let me show you what other goodies we got on the table. Get this stuff updated and installed, and then we'll get on to the next one. So like I was saying, this video is just a quick little update about the Big 3 install and what we're doing there. But while we're at it, I hope you guys will subscribe and follow along for the more other stuff we're doing to the truck. I've got my 4-gauge amp install kit from Crutchfield. I'll leave this link down below, but I will do a dedicated video on this. We've got our power, fuse, negative, all of our stuff in the box. We're ready to go with it. We've got our JL Audio amp, monoblock amp for our subwoofers, so we've got that on the bench ready to go. We've got some speaker wire there for the subs if we need it, just a little bit of extra, and we've got our JL Audio 10-inch subs. So, oh, and on the floor over here, we've got our custom subwoofer enclosure for the back of our Ram. So we'll do an in-depth video of all of this stuff so you can follow along if you want to, but I wanted to tease it at least, show you we got everything. We got 2 10-inch subs, so we'll have dual 10s, but I wanted to show you what we got coming down the pipeline in case you wanted to follow along and stick around. But let's go ahead and jump under the hood, show you what we're going to do with this stuff and get it installed. Here's what we're looking at before we get started. So I've got my main power coming off the back of the alternator, of course, coming down here. That's that blue wire coming up. Everything's nice and neat, zip tied, out of the way, protected in case something came loose or whatever. But coming up and snaking up here to the positive terminal on the battery. So that's where you guys so politely came in and said, no, you need a fuse on there. And obviously you can see the fuses from the factory on both sides of our main wires. So it makes sense to have one on there for safety's sake. So anyway, that's what we're doing today. And we're replacing this main, or not replacing, excuse me. We're going to add our KnuKonceptz power positive terminal to this, and then rotate this to the side, hopefully clean everything up nice and neat, and that'll be dealt with. And then we'll add our fuse. I'm trying to figure out, I might actually try to see if I can add it right here on the side of our master fuse block, and that might work good to come straight up and go back in over here. We added an additional ground, so we had the main one, this one on top, that snaked down and went to the frame factory ground point. And so I added an additional one that came from that same mounting spot, came up over here and went straight to the negative on the battery. That way everything is nice and neat, flowing as best as possible. And then I've got this one that ran over here to another factory ground point over here on the frame. So overkill, probably. As best as it could probably be, also probably so. So we've got everything dealt with. Now, again, this is my 2017 Ram. Just so happened that I have plenty enough spare cable with the way I ran everything to do all of this without having to buy anything extra. So it worked out pretty good. Now we just gotta disassemble this, take this off, put the new one on, and show you what we got there. So there's our new one, and then we'll hopefully replace that and then get everything nice and neat and tidied up. Here's a quick look with the KnuKonceptz power post adapter on there. So you do have, again, this is just my setup. Yours may differ with your battery and everything, and there's just enough clearance with the way this battery is built for this to set down on there. Now you can reverse these tightening threads, or this bolt, this Allen wrench bolt that's in there. On this setup currently, you can tighten it from this front side through that hole on the front side. Let's see if I can show you right down there. And so if yours didn't set right, or you wanted to rotate it or do something different, I might actually, to give me some more clearance, I might turn this to the side. Well, no, that wouldn't work, because then my fuse box wouldn't open good with all the wires coming out. So probably leave it like that. I can tighten it down from the front, but you can take that out and reverse it if you need to tighten it from this side over here in your application. We still have access to our screws on the side if we want to, and I can put that power post adapter over here on this side and get everything hooked back up. So far so good. I'm going to tighten this down and then we'll just press on. All right, and there we are, all buttoned back up. Now, I'm not 100% completely done. I put the power wire back in kind of how I had it to start with. There is a 0-gauge lug right there on the front that I'm going to use. I'm waiting on some wire ferrules to come in so I can cut this off cleanly, install it right in there, and everything will be nice and neat. This looks a little bit janky, not exactly how I wanted it, but again, depending on your vehicle and setup and everything. I didn't have enough slack in the wires to get this kind of straight. So I got it in there the best I can. The fuse box door still, or lid still opens fine, no problems. I couldn't put it on this side because there's just not enough room with the way this battery is designed and everything. And again, I didn't want to try to rotate this 90 degrees or diagonal or anything, because then everything would be in the way of the fuse box. So I think I got it pretty good. There's plenty enough clearance between everything. It's not going to hit anything or do anything, so we're good there. We got all that tightened up. Quick note, to tighten these wire lugs on the front, the Allen keys or the Allen bolts are underneath this adapter, so you'd have to have all that inserted, tighten everything before you pop this on, or again, depending on your setup, you may not be able to access them, because you can see the side of the battery is flush with the front of this thing, so I can't access the bolt heads that are underneath this to tighten these wire lugs up. So no big deal. Now I've got a 4 gauge ready for my amp install, and I've got a 0 gauge, so I can cut this off, put my fuse in and add it, and everything will be nice and clean. So I'm waiting on those parts to come in, but I'm gonna go ahead and start on the other stuff now, and we'll check back in just a second. And with that, we are done with another upgrade install. So finally got everything taken apart, taken care of. So what I did was, if you watched that original video or saw it earlier, I had my main blue power that was running from the alternator to the battery over here. And so I cut it and I installed this KnuKonceptz fuse holder right on the side of the fuse box. Obviously, be careful you don't touch any power wires or any important wires when you're doing that. You may have a bigger problem on your hand, but I installed it right to the side of the fuse box here, and I used my wire ferrules. I'll get that out and show you what I'm talking about here in just a second so you can see what I used. And I stripped the wire, put it in the bottom lug, put it in the top lug, and then I used my KnuKonceptz post adapter, and I got everything plugged in to it. So I've got my my main one plugged in and tightened underneath there for that 0 gauge power wire. Everything's snugged down and working perfectly, and we've got our fuse put in there, and so now we're good to go, and we can put our cover to protect everything and call it a day. But let me show you the kit I got off of Amazon if you're interested in that, and then we'll button this project up. So the rain caught me last night before I could finish up the video like I wanted to, but like I was saying, we've got everything buttoned up. We've got our cover on there for the KnuKonceptz fuse, 300 amp fuse in there. Everything's tightened down, good to go in our new power post adapter here, so all that's fine. So what I was saying was I was using these wire ferrules, and so I've never used these before. Just picked up a kit off of Amazon. I'll leave the link down below if you want to check it out, but it has all kinds of different ferrules for all kinds of different gauges. So super teeny tiny ones, if I can even get it to focus, super tiny ones for all kinds of different wirings, amps, speakers, everything, all the way up to huge 0 gauge wire. So the idea is you strip your wire like normal, find the one that'll slide on there, the right gauge. This was a 0 gauge one for this power wire, and so then you crimp it down like normal. So you slide it right in to the slot, the lug, and then you crimp it down with the Allen bolt on here. I did a test to see how strong it was and how it worked on the spare piece of wire, and it crimped it right down and worked perfect. It's on there super snug. It doesn't come off. I yanked on it really hard to make sure everything's fine, and then that way it keeps the form of what you're using it in. So if your amp or this fuse down here or whatnot, and then that way if you need to take it loose, you can slide it right back in. There's no loose strands of wire. Wire doesn't get damaged, and it makes a nice solid crimp. So again, first time I've used these, but it turned out really well. So probably use these when I do my speaker amp kit here in the next video. And I've got tons of spares, and this was not expensive at all. And so again, I'll leave that link down below if you want to check out this particular kit, but they have all kinds of them on Amazon and everything like that. So guys, that'll wrap up another quick video. Just wanted to do an update on that Big 3 wiring kit for you guys to see if you were interested in adding a fuse. Again, I got a lot of comments on that last video about you gotta have a fuse, you gotta have a fuse. After thinking about it, going back, reading a bunch of other stuff and information articles and whatnot, it's not a bad idea to have a fuse on that main wire. So got that added, peace of mind, and we're good to go down the road for any kind of issues or incidents that may pop up. So put a check in the box for that. And then I definitely wanted to upgrade that power post adapter so I could get more wires on it, better connections and everything. So that KnuKonceptz power post, they sell one for the negative post as well. I don't believe in my case as of right now I need that. May upgrade that in the future too, just to have it all in sync and look the same and all that, but I don't really need it right this second. So I have some extra options, slots and connectors for the power post. We'll go over all of this in the next future videos. Excited to get this installed, so please consider subscribing to the channel if you want to follow along with the audio install. We're working on this project, so we'll have a couple more videos in the pipeline coming out very soon. Hopefully get all this installed, tested, and working perfect. So if you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Helps the channel out tremendously. Leave it a thumbs up if you want to. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as always. And if you got any questions, comments, leave them down below. I read all of them, try to answer everybody's questions. So I will get to them as soon as I possibly can. Always appreciate you hanging out with me and being here. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.